There are modern trucks with user manuals so thick that you finish reading them when the warranty has already expired. True toughness shouldn't be that complicated to understand. In 2026, while turbo engines sound like expensive vacuum cleaners, today we rescue 11 legends of real steel that refuse to die. We will analyze the engineering that allows them to travel 1 million miles without major repairs. Stay until the final podium because those 3 models will bury any current pickup. Let's begin. Number 11, Jeep J10 of 1974. We start this list with a true survivor from the era of American steel, the Jeep J10 from 1974. Nowadays, the name Jeep brings to mind the Wrangler or luxurious SUVs, but in the 70s, Jeep manufactured some of the toughest and most indestructible trucks on the planet. The J10 wasn't a lifestyle pickup, it was a heavy-duty work tool, a direct descendant of the legendary Jeep Gladiator, and shared its platform with the Wagoneer. But why will it outlive its owner? Because the J10 was built with a military, not commercial philosophy. Its chassis wasn't designed for comfort, it was designed never to break. We are talking about a thick steel ladder frame chassis, solid Dana 44 axles front and rear, and robust leaf springs that could withstand almost any abuse. Mechanically, it was simplicity personified. In 1974, the J10 came equipped with the legendary AMC V8 engines, like the 360 or even the powerful 401. These engines were pure iron blocks, known for their low-end torque and incredible durability. They were simple engines, easy to understand and easy to repair. There were no computers, no delicate sensors, no fragile plastics under the hood, just iron, steel, and reliable power. Today, decades after the last one rolled off the production line, you see these J10s being restored by off-road enthusiasts, not because they are pretty, but because their foundation is indestructible. They are vehicles that refuse to die and with basic maintenance will continue to run long after modern trucks have been turned into scrap. Number 10, Chevrolet S10 second generation with V6 4.3 liter. We reach number 10 and find General Motors' answer to the mini truck invasion, the Chevrolet S10. The first generation was a success, but it was the second generation launched in 1994 that truly perfected the formula. With its more rounded and modern design, it became one of the most popular trucks in the United States. But its popularity is not what puts it on this list. What makes it a survivor is its heart. Yes, you could get it with a 4-cylinder engine, but the engine that made the S10 legendary and the reason so many are still on the road is the V6 4.3-liter engine. And here's the secret many don't know, that V6 engine wasn't a new engine, it was literally Chevrolet's V8 350 small block engine, the company's most famous engine with 2 cylinders cut off. What does this mean? It means that the 4.3-liter was designed with the internal robustness of a V8. The pistons, connecting rods, crankshaft, many components were incredibly robust, designed to withstand the stress of a much larger engine in a full-size truck. Now you put that overbuilt engine into the much lighter S10 chassis, and the result is a powertrain that is barely working. It is operating so far below its limits that with basic maintenance it is almost impossible to kill. It's an old-school engine. Push rods, simple, noisy, and with incredible torque for its size. It was the perfect combination, an agile and practical sized truck, but with the cast iron heart of its older sisters. While the bodies rusted, these 4.3 engines kept running, ready to be transplanted into other vehicles. The S10 from 1994 is not immortal because of its sheet metal, it is immortal because of its engine. Number 9, Ford Ranger. At number 9, we have what is possibly the most ubiquitous compact truck in North American history, the Ford Ranger. Launched in 1982 to replace the Mazda-sourced Courier, the Ranger was Ford's 100% American answer to the small truck revolution, and for almost 30 years absolutely dominated this segment. Whether it was the square first generation of the 80s or its popular aerodynamic redesign of 1993, the Ranger became the default work tool for millions. But why? What made this truck so dominant, and why is it still alive? It wasn't because it was the fastest or the most luxurious, it was because it was the definition of basic reliability. Its immortality can be summed up in a 2.3-liter 4-cylinder Lima engine. This engine was not sophisticated, it was not powerful, and it certainly was not quiet, but it was an incredibly simple and robust iron block. Ford used this engine design for more than 2 decades, which means that by the time they put it in the Ranger, all its problems had already been solved. It was a piece of engineering tested to exhaustion. In addition, in the 4x2 versions, the Ranger used Ford's legendary twin-beam front suspension, the same one used by its larger F-Series sisters. It was a simple, economical, and almost indestructible setup. The Ranger was the truck bought by service companies, landscapers, and delivery drivers. They drove it mercilessly for 200,000 miles and then sold it to a student who drove it another 100,000. It is the cockroach of the automotive world in the best possible sense. It is the truck that refuses to die because it was built without luxuries, using only proven, cheap, and easy-to-replace components. The Ford Ranger earns a place on this list not for being exciting, but for being the most reliable tool money could buy. Number 8. International Harvester Pickup of 1974. We reach number 8 and enter true heavyweight territory. This is a name you might not hear every day, the International Harvester Pickup of 1974. Today, the market is dominated by Detroit's Big Three, but in the 70s, there was another player, an industrial giant, International Harvester. It wasn't a car company, it was a tractor company. They made heavy-duty trucks, agricultural machinery, and construction equipment, and fortunately for us, they also decided to make pickups. What is the result when a company that builds tractors and semi-trucks designs a pickup for the public? The result is a tank. The International of 1974 was not designed to compete in luxury or speed. It was designed under an agricultural philosophy. It must work every day regardless of conditions for 50 years. Everything in this truck is overbuilt to a level that other brands couldn't match. The chassis steel is thicker, the body panels are heavier, the axles look like they were taken from a 2-ton truck, and then there were the engines. International didn't use car engines, they used their own V8 engines like the 345 or the 392. These were not high-revving engines. They were cast iron monsters, slow, noisy, and with unstoppable torque, designed to drag agricultural implements, not to win drag races. International Harvester stopped manufacturing light trucks shortly after, not because they failed, but because they couldn't compete on price with Detroit's mass production. But the trucks they built, those remained. Finding one today is finding a relic, a machine built by industrial engineers, not by marketing departments. It is a truck that was literally designed as a piece of heavy equipment, and that is the reason why, with proper care, it will last longer than anything built today. Number 7. Nissan Hardbody of 1993. We reach number 7, and this one is special. This is the Nissan Hardbody of 1993. In the mid-80s, Nissan replaced the legendary Datsun 620 with this new platform, and the nickname the public gave it said it all, Hardbody. It wasn't an official marketing name at first, but it stuck because it was the truth. This truck was designed to be abused. With its aggressive, square styling, flared fenders, and robust stance, the hardbody defined the look of compact trucks of the late 80s and early 90s, but its true magic was under the skin. The heart of the hardbody is the KA-24E engine, a 2.4-liter four-cylinder. This engine is a masterpiece of Japanese reliability. While other manufacturers were starting to experiment with timing belts, the KA-24E used a double-row timing chain, incredibly robust, designed to last the engine's entire life. It was a simple engine with a single overhead cam, but with a unique 3-valve per cylinder design that gave it legendary reliability and efficiency. It wasn't fast, but it was a rock. It was the engine you could ignore, to which you could put cheap oil and it just kept running. And if the engine was tough, the rest of the truck lived up to it. The chassis was a simple and strong ladder design. The electronics were basic and functional. This is the truck that became the preferred workhorse in Latin America, Africa, and the Middle East. Places where reliability is not a luxury, it is the #1 factor for survival. In those places, it is not rare, it is normal to see these hard bodies with 300,000 or 500,000 miles still working hard every day. Number 6, Jeep Comanche with 4.0-liter engine. Occupying the 6th place, we have the last true pickup truck that bore the Jeep name, the Comanche. Launched in 1986, the Comanche was Jeep's answer to the wave of compact trucks. But unlike the Ranger or the S10, which used a traditional truck chassis, Jeep did something unique. They based the Comanche on their most successful and arguably most indestructible vehicle ever made, the Jeep Cherokee XJ. The Comanche shared the same unibody construction in the front as the Cherokee, making it light and rigid, but it had a separate ladder frame in the rear to support the bed. It was a brilliant hybrid design, but honestly, the chassis is not the reason it is on this list. The Comanche is immortal for one thing, its engine. Starting in 1987, the Comanche received what is undoubtedly one of the best six-cylinder engines in history, the legendary 4.0-liter inline. This AMC-designed engine is a masterpiece of engineering. It is a cast-iron block with a simple overhead valve design. It was not sophisticated, it was not refined, but it was a torque monster and absolutely unstoppable. The 4.0 inline is famous in the off-road world for being an engine that thrives on abuse. It is known for running perfectly, even with terrible maintenance. It withstands overheating that would melt modern engines, oil leaks, and it just keeps going. It is an over-engineered engine with roots dating back to AMC's six-cylinder engines of the 1960s. By the time it was put into the Comanche, it was perfected. It is common to see Cherokees and Comanches with 300,000 or 400,000 miles on the original engine. Jeep stopped manufacturing the Comanche in 1992, which makes it quite rare. But the engine that powers it is so legendary, so reliable, and so easy to repair that these trucks are sought after and treasured. It is not just a pickup, it is a piece of Jeep history powered by one of the toughest engines ever created. Number 5, Dodge D-Series and Power Wagon with Slant 6. We enter at number 5 with the truck that defined Dodge's rugged look for 2 decades, the D-Series, and its 4x4 version, the legendary Power Wagon. These trucks, which were manufactured from 1972 to 1980 with this classic look, were Chrysler's heavy-duty workhorses. They were known for their boxy appearance, no-nonsense construction, and their ability to take a beating and keep working. Today, when we think of an indestructible Dodge, our mind immediately jumps to the Cummins diesel engine, but that was later. In the 1970s, Dodge's reputation for durability was built on a completely different gasoline engine, one of the strangest and most incredible engines ever designed, the Slant 6. Why slanted? Chrysler tilted the engine 30 degrees to one side. This was not for style, it was for pure engineering. It allowed for a lower hood, but most importantly, it allowed for an incredibly long and efficient intake and exhaust manifold to be mounted, which gave the engine fantastic low-end torque. But the true magic of the Slant 6 was its construction. It was a cast-iron block designed in an era when iron was cheap and durability was king. It is famous in the world of mechanics for being one of the most over-engineered engines of all time. It was so robust that Chrysler used the same basic block in industrial applications, in generators, in forklifts, and even in boats. In a pickup truck, the engine was barely working. The result is an engine that simply refuses to die. It is common to hear stories from owners who abused them, who rarely changed the oil, and the engine just kept running. It was noisy, it vibrated, but it was as reliable as sunrise. While V8 engines were optional and popular, it was the humble Slant 6 that gave these trucks their reputation for immortality. They were vehicles that represented the pinnacle of simple and robust engineering before electronics took over everything. Number 4, Ford F-Series 6th generation. At number 4, we reach royalty. This is the truck that for many is the mental image that appears when someone says Ford truck, the 6th generation of the F-Series that dominated the 1970s. This was the era when Ford consolidated its position as the undisputed king of trucks in America, and they did it by building vehicles that were the definition of tough as nails. They were 100% steel, 100% American, and 100% attitude. The immortality of these trucks does not come from lightweight Japanese engineering, but from brute American strength. The chassis was a massive ladder design, and the bodywork was made of steel panels so thick they seem armored compared to current standards, but the heart of their durability beat under that long and wide hood. This was the era of the big V8 engines. Forget turbos, forget fuel injection. Here we were talking about legendary engines like the 360 and the 390, part of Ford's FE family. These were engines that had been born in the 1960s, had powered muscle cars, and were now in trucks. They were giant, simple cast-iron blocks with carburetors that anyone could adjust and torque that could move mountains. They were old-school engines designed before fuel efficiency was a concern, and that meant that everything inside them was heavy and robust. Opening the hood of a 1977 F-150 is a lesson in simplicity. You can see the engine, you can see the ground, there is no tangled mess of wires, no plastic covers. If something failed, you could identify it and fix it with basic tools. That is why these trucks refuse to disappear. They are still favorites for restoration projects, farm trucks, and off-road beasts because their foundation, that chassis and those engines, were built for an era when trucks were pure tools and failure simply was not an option. Number 3. Chevrolet square body with 350 engine. We enter the top 3 with what is for many the truck with the most iconic and timeless design of all, the Chevrolet square body. This truck is not just a vehicle, it is an American institution. Its production was incredibly long, from 1973 to 1987. Think about that, 14 years. That means General Motors had time to perfect every screw, every panel, and every component to a level of almost absolute reliability. But its immortality is not only due to its long production time, it is due to its heart, the engine that became synonymous with this truck, the Chevrolet small block V8 350. It is estimated that more than 100 million engines from this family have been manufactured. 100 million, it is the most common, most well-known, and most universal engine on the planet. What does that mean for its durability? It means that parts are so cheap and so abundant that you can get them literally anywhere in the world. Open the hood of a square body and you have a huge engine compartment with the 350 sitting in the middle and plenty of room to work. The electronics were basic, the carburetor was simple to adjust, and the transmission, like the Turbo 350, was rock solid. This truck was America's default work tool for more than a decade, and today it is the favorite truck of restorers and enthusiasts. Why? Because you know it will never leave you stranded, and if something were to fail, you can be sure that the replacement part exists, is cheap, and is easy to install. The square body not only outlives its owners, it can be rebuilt infinitely. It is the easiest truck to maintain and revive in history, and that, dear friend, is a form of immortality. Number 2. Ford F-150 with 306-cylinder inline engine. We reached the silver medal, number 2, and this truck was the backbone of America during the 1980s and 1990s, the Ford F-150 with the 306-cylinder inline engine. With its aerodynamic but rugged design, this generation of the F-150 was the best-selling vehicle in the country year after year. It was the truck that did everything from taking the kids to school to building skyscrapers. Many bought it with the legendary 5.0-liter 5.8 engine, the same as the Mustang. It was a great engine, but those who knew, the farmers, the construction companies, the people who depended on their truck for a living, those chose a different engine. They chose the most reliable gasoline engine Ford has ever built. It was the 4.9-liter, the 306-cylinder inline. This engine is an absolute legend of engineering. It was not designed to be fast, it was not designed to be quiet, it was designed to run at low revolutions and produce unstoppable torque like a tractor engine. And here is the key to its immortality. Unlike almost all modern engines that use timing chains or belts that stretch and break, the 300 used gears, solid steel gears that connected the crankshaft and the camshaft. When does a set of steel gears fail? The answer is never. It is a massive cast iron block with 7 main bearings, which gives it incredible internal stability. It is an engine that thrives on abuse and laughs at poor maintenance. It is the definition of over-engineered. It is so robust that Ford used it in delivery trucks, in UPS trucks, and even in industrial applications like generators and forklifts. It is the truck you see today, 30 years later, with faded paint and a rusty chassis, but with the 4.9 engine starting on the first try, ready to work. It is an engine that was built to last for eternity. Number 1. Dodge Ram with Cummins 5.9-liter engine. And so we arrive at number 1, the truck that is in a completely different category, a vehicle so legendary, so absurdly overbuilt, that it redefined the industry, the Dodge Ram with the Cummins engine. In the late 80s, Dodge was losing the truck war. Its sales were low and they needed a miracle. And that miracle arrived in 1989 thanks to an agreement with the industrial engine company Cummins. What they did was simple and absolutely brilliant. They took their standard truck chassis, the D-Series, and managed to fit an engine into it that was not designed for a pickup. It was the Cummins 5.9-liter 6-cylinder inline 12-valve, the 6BT. This engine was not from a truck, it was the engine of an agricultural tractor. It was the engine of a medium delivery truck. It was the engine of an industrial generator. It was a monster of 1,000 pounds of cast iron designed to run 24 hours a day, 7 days a week for decades. Unlike Ford's 300, this was not like a tractor engine. It was a tractor engine. Everything in it is designed to last 1 million miles. It literally uses timing gears, not chains. It has a mechanical injection pump, the P7100 in the 94 to 98 models, which is as reliable as a granite block. It is a pure torque engine that barely strains in a pickup truck. The rest of the Dodge truck around this engine was, well, it was a 90s truck. Transmissions sometimes failed, interiors wore out, but that didn't matter. The engine is eternal. It is not rare, it is not possible. It is common to see these trucks on the road today with 500,000 miles, with 800,000 miles, and yes, there are countless documented cases of 12-valve Cummins engines that have exceeded 1 million miles. This truck will not only outlive its owner, it is an engine that will probably outlive the chassis, then it will be removed and transplanted into another truck and will outlive that one too. It is the ultimate heavy-duty machine. It is the definition of over-engineering and is, without a doubt, the #1 truck that was built to outlast any of us.